Alright guys, good job on the first vlogs. Since last time I saw you, I finished Ender's Game. It was a really good book. It was actually the best book that I've read in probably 6 or 7 years. It's also the only book that I've read in about 6 or 7 years. And I started thinking about that and how I really don't read a lot. I don't know if it stems from the fact that I had to read a lot in school. There were a lot of assignments, you know. We had to read 1,000 books or so in high school. I didn't read all those books, especially Shakespeare. You know, I didn't even understand what I was supposed to be reading there. It was written in language from hundreds of years ago. It would be like the same thing as having the King James Version of the Bible as assigned reading, and it shouldn't be. And until Shakespeare gets a message version, it's not something that people will actually be reading and saying, oh, this makes so much sense, I really enjoyed this. I mean, when you have to read something and then have someone else explain it to you, that's really not that great anymore. I think that we're really holding on to Shakespeare a little too long. And I know that everyone's gonna be like, oh, how can you not like Shakespeare? Shakespeare's amazing. Is that the best writer ever? It's Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, Hamlet. Yeah, but I mean, it's really not that great. I mean, look at the stories that are out today. They're better. They are. You need to admit it that they are better. Once you do, then good. But until you do, then you're just, well, you're stupid. But I started thinking about all the homework and things that I had assigned when I was in high school and middle school. You know, all these different assignments, and it was just busy work. That's all it was. It was just, oh, here, do these 50 problems of math. Oh, you know, convert these 25 formulas in chemistry. Where has it gotten me? Nowhere. I don't use that stuff. And we always had teachers that would be like, well, you'll use this later in life. You'll use this. No, you'll need to know that. You'll need to know when the Revolutionary War began. But I don't know when it began, and there's no way that I could actually use it ever, because it's just not something that really matters to me. Okay, so we had a couple people asking what Appleball is. I feel like I should kind of explain that. Basically what happens is at some point the Appleball sport starts with someone holding a fork and an apple is lodged into it. And you take your knife and you flip it around to where the blade is side down and you fling it up, and the apple goes like flying up in the air. So then the next person has to grab their fork and catch it right on top, and then fling it up. You know, and it just passes along kind of thing. You got to catch it, fling it up. That's pretty much the entire thing of Appleball, except for at the very end when you have to clean up all the apple shards everywhere because, I mean, you're going to make a mess. It was just a game that we used to play in the cafeteria, on the carpet. So I don't know if you've heard about the woman that was shot at recently. She was a senator, and it made the news pretty big until the fact that they found out that she wasn't actually killed by the gunshot. A couple other people around her were killed, but she was just severely wounded. And as soon as that was found out, the story kind of died there. Just a little bit of updates and that kind of thing. But it's almost like it's not as important. I think 6 other people died by those gunshots. 6 people. But it doesn't really matter because, you know, they weren't senators or something. And I think that's ridiculous to just be able to say, oh, well, you know, their lives aren't as important, so we can just dismiss it. It doesn't really matter. Who cares about that? And unfortunately, that's the way that the American society is going. If it's not some famous person or some scandal or something like that, it doesn't matter. You know, they're just a number. They're just a statistic. And it's also being tied into the whole Sarah Palin creating this map of Democrats with targets on them, you know, like bullseyes. It wasn't made to be a hit list or anything. It was made to just say, you know, we need these people out of office, da, 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 da. With all these wackos out there, I mean, you really got to be careful with what you're posting online. It's just kind of scary because people can take anything and just twist it out of context. And so hopefully, you know, for her and her family, this isn't going to go down as bad as it can. It really has the potential to really hurt her. Hopefully everything's going well for you guys. I got to get out of here. I've got some sort of child birthing class that I've got to get to.